Gonna wait for some folks to show up here. Get comfortable. It is a beautiful night here in the holy city of Yerushalayim. So you guys probably remember, those of you guys who watch this show, this podcast, a couple of videos ago I spoke about something called the Banality of Evil. For those of you guys who don't know what the Banality of Evil is, the Banality of Evil is a book, and by extension a concept, that was written by a woman by the name of Hannah Arendt. Hannah Arendt was a Holocaust survivor, and she was tasked with basically covering the trial of Adolf Eichmann. And she caused quite a stir with her book, with what she wrote, because she basically wrote that, I observed this guy Eichmann, and I basically saw what I thought, would be kind of like this sensationalized and this kind of colorful, evil genius person turned out to be a very, very quote-unquote normal, banal guy who was just basically following orders, and just was, at some point he lost the ability to think. And it's interesting, guys, I think about what's going on right now, the context of everything that's happening now, and, it's funny, I started Googling this whole, basically the quotes of Hannah Arendt's quotes, and I actually came across quotes from another book, or maybe pamphlet that she wrote, and I think that if you combine the Banality of Evil and this pamphlet that she wrote, which is called The Origins of Totalitarianism, you will basically understand, first of all, how everything happened, how everything was able to, go down the way it went down at that time, and how everything is happening again, essentially. I would say again on a 1/60th level, but it is happening again. And if we're not careful, we may just see something that we don't want to see. None of us want to see, even the people who are, no matter where you stand on this issue, right? So what I want to do tonight, guys, sorry, I just ate something. It's not COVID. Just ate something went down the wrong pipe. But what I want to do tonight is I actually want to read to you guys passages from this book called The Origins of Totalitarianism, and I want to see if there's anything that sounds familiar to you guys. If there's anything that sounds familiar. First, what I'm going to do is I'm going to read basically these excerpts. I mean, they're basically just kind of paragraphs or quotes. I'm going to read them straight through, and then as I'm reading them, I'm going to let you guys kind of like, I'm going to let it simmer in your brain, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to essentially outline for you, how everything that this woman wrote at that time, referring to an event that was unspeakable, applies even today. And how it's actually, we should, it should give us pause and we should be aware. So, here we go. Here's the first one. Inability to think is not stupidity. It can be found in highly intelligent people, and wickedness is hardly its cause, meaning, it's not wickedness, they're not wicked. If only because thoughtlessness as well as stupidity are much more frequent phenomena, is necessary to cause great evil. I'm going to repeat. If only because thoughtlessness as well as stupidity are much more frequent phenomena, is necessary to cause great evil. Next phrase. Mass propaganda discovered that its audience was ready, or the people doing mass propaganda discovered, that its audience was ready at all times to believe the worst, no matter how absurd, and did not particularly object to being deceived because it held every statement to be a lie anyhow. I'm going to repeat this to you guys again so you guys understand the concept. Mass propaganda, or mass propagandists, discovered that their audience was ready at all times to believe the worst, no matter how absurd, and did not particularly object to being deceived because it held every statement to be a lie anyhow. Again, guys, what I'm reading to you is Hannah Arendt. This is not me. This is Hannah Arendt, the same woman who wrote Banality of Evil, and she covered the Eichmann trial. By the way, for which she was, at the time, a lot of people misunderstood her, but now we understand her. Okay. Next phrase. Before mass leaders seize power to fit reality into their lies, their propaganda is marked by its extreme contempt for facts as such, for in their opinion, fact depends entirely on the power of man who can fabricate it. Again, I'm going to repeat it. Before mass leaders seize power to fit reality to their lies, their propaganda is marked by its extreme contempt for facts as such, for in their opinion, fact depends entirely on the power of a man who can fabricate it. Next one. One of the greatest advantages of the totalitarian elites of the 20s and 30s, this is the 1920s and the 1930s, was to turn any statement of fact into a question of motive. Next, true goal of totalitarian propaganda is not persuasion, but organization of the polity. Like, people. What convinces masses are not facts, and not even invented facts, but only the consistency of the system of which they are presumably part. Next, men have been found to resist the most powerful monarchs and to refuse to bow down before them. But few indeed have been found to resist the crowd, to stand up alone before misguided masses, to face their implacable frenzy without weapons and with folded arms, to dare a no when a yes is demanded. And the last one, guys, totalitarian solutions may well survive the fall of totalitarian regimes in the form of strong temptations, which will come up whenever it seems impossible to alleviate political, social, or economic misery in a manner worthy of man. So, my friends, now that you've got a chance to a little bit, how should we put it, marinate all those phrases in your head, in your mind, let's try to apply them to what's happening today. The first one, inability to think is not stupidity, and can be found in highly intelligent people, and wickedness is hardly its cause, if only because thoughtlessness as well as stupidity are much more frequent phenomena is necessary to cause great evil. My friends, you have no idea how many people I've spoken to who are basically so whipped up into a frenzy of fear, like a chicken with a head cut off, they cannot think. I don't know if you guys ever seen, like some of these movies, especially in like 80s and 90s, where you see like there's like, protagonists, like a group of kids, right, or a group of people, and they're in a dangerous situation, and then at some point, I guess the leader goes, "Okay, guys, let's calm down and think." But you notice he says, before he says "let's think," let's everybody just calm down. Why? Because when you're calm, you can think. When you're afraid, you can't think. All right? When you've been stirred up into a panic, into like fear of dying, fear of getting a disease, you cannot think. You cannot analyze information before you. You can't even so much as, like, somebody comes to you and says, "Well, what about this?" You can't think. You just say, "Forget it. I can't think. I threw my brain out." Even the most intelligent people, and just take the whatever, and that's it. Next one. Mass propaganda discovered that its audience was ready at all times to believe the worst, no matter how absurd, and did not particularly object to being deceived because it held every statement to be a lie anyhow. My friends, when we live in an era where everything is supposedly fake news, and you don't believe anything, so what's the MS? What's the truth? Right? So somebody comes and writes in the news some crazy scary headline or, some statistic. You don't even bother to open the article and read, the actual article, right? You don't even bother. You just read the headline. Oh, 6,000 people this, and that's it. And you can't even be bothered to analyze it. Because anyway, it could be a lie, or someone else could be saying a lie, or someone else who's saying something the opposite could be saying a lie, right? If everything's BS, then nothing's real. Then the only thing that's really real is the scariest thing, right? The only thing that's real is something that's sensationalized. If everything is BS and there's no emes in the world, there's no truth in the world, then this guy colluding with this country is the truth. He's guilty until proven innocent, right? Like, the more we just sensationalize everything, we can fabricate a fake conversation between such and such politician and a particular country that sounds like something out of a mafia movie. We can give, testimony in Congress to it, and everybody believes it. Why? Because it's sensational. It's all over the headlines. My friends, that's what it is. If nothing is real, everything is real, right? We can't discern fact from fiction anymore. Next, before mass leaders seize power to fit reality to their lies, their propaganda is marked by its extreme contempt for facts as such, for in their opinion, fact depends entirely on the power of man who can fabricate it. My friends, we have so-called reputable sources, and these reputable organizations and trusted organizations and sources and official, reputable, trusty experts, CDC, WHO, FDA, this channel, that channel, this expert, that person, that person. My friends, anybody, what I learned in life, what's called a school of hard knocks, anybody with a nice piece of paper on their wall, or 5 or 10 of them, a nice accolade, a nice award, a nice this, a nice that, a nice paper, a nice statue, can come and say, gobbledygook and giggity goggity goo, skibbity bobbity boo, and everybody will believe that person just because that person has an air of authority and supposed alleged trustworthiness. My friends, when somebody tells me that they are a PhD, or they are listening to a person with a PhD, and they are this and they are that, and I'll talk about PhDs at the end, and I'll tell you guys a funny statistic when I'm through with this, I say to them, very nice, Yesher Koach, Chazaku Baruch. I care about common sense, and I care about analytical thinking and looking at things and researching things, okay? I don't care about your pieces of paper and your official and your experts and your this and your organization, my friends, because you know what? Follow the money, okay? Follow the cash. Follow the cash, okay? This is what I tell people. The same thing with the fact checker things. Follow the cash. Independent fact. They're not independent. It's not just thing is independent, okay? Next. One of the greatest advantages of totalitarian elites of the 20s and 30s was to turn any statement of fact into a question of motive. So, my friends, if a person comes who is a scientist and says, hey, well, I am a person who was involved with this technology or was involved with this thing, and I'm telling you that there's problems or that there's issues, people automatically say, oh, this is the guy that he's just whatever. He's just anti-so-and-so. He just has a bone to pick. He's just this. He's just doing it because ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta. He's bitter about something, some other. They divert. Instead of actually tackling and addressing the content of what this person is saying, no matter who he is, they come and they go, well, he's just, this is his motive. My friends, Hannah Arendt, not me, not crazy Tzvi, Hannah Arendt, Banality of Evil, The Origins of Totalitarianism, not me. I'm just, you know what I'm saying? I'm just giving you my, what's called, how should I put this? My commentary, my Talmudic commentary. Okay. True goal of totalitarian propaganda is not persuasion, but organization of the polity. What convinces masses are not facts, and not even invented facts, but only the consistency of the system of which they are presumably a part. Again, my friends, keep saying the same lie over. We know this from Yasser Arafat, guys, which is astounding to me. The same people who say that the media is lying about Israel and the Palestinians and this and that and the other, and that same media is talking to you about this issue, this disease, and you don't believe them about that. You use the New York Times to wipe your you-know-what with when it comes to the section, when you get to the section of Israel and the Middle East, but when it comes to this, no. They're telling you the truth. My friends, repeat the same lines over and over and over again with an air of authority, with an air of superiority, with an air of officialness and reputability and whatever. People believe it. People believe it. Keep reporting scarier and scarier headlines. No one's opening the article anyways, guys. Okay. Again, Hannah Arendt, not crazy tzvi. Okay. Men have been found to resist the most powerful monarchs and to refuse to bow down before them, but few indeed have been found to resist the crowd, to stand up alone before misguided masses, to face their implacable frenzy without weapons and with folded arms, to dare a no when a yes is demanded. My friends, we all have friends and family, we all have bumped into people, peer pressure. Like, the governments know that they're not going to be the ones to do this. I mean, they're going to coerce us with other, policies and other things, but ultimately, my friends, I'm noticing that there's a lot of people, especially in America, that are actually, like here in Israel also, there's a lot of restaurants and places that are just not enforcing this stuff. They don't even care, right? They're not doing it like, hey, I'm holding up a sign and doing this like in your face, or, revolting in protest. They're not complying, quietly not complying. In America, my friends, there are going to be people who don't comply. But it's very difficult. You have friends and family. I just spoke to a friend. She told me, her husband's family don't invite her to simchas anymore, to events, family functions. Got to a point where they just forgot to send them like Zoom links. They just turn them into like lepers, who are like walking diseases. And it's absolutely psychotic. It's ridiculously psychotic, sick, right? But yeah, it's peer pressure, and people say, come on, the science is settled. Just be normal. Just be like everybody else. Be normal. Why can't you just be normal? Why can't you just join society? Why can't you just, I had friends tell me they took the thing just because they wanted to move on socially. I don't know, socially, if you want to be social with these kind of people, I don't want to be, what is it? Groucho Marx, I don't want to be part of a club that won't have me as a member. Okay. You're so close, you almost be behind me. Okay? I don't, it's not my game. I'm good, I'm straight, I'm okay. Thank you very much. It's like Larry David. I'm glad not to be invited. Thank you. Me and Larry, we don't agree politically, but on that we agree. Okay. He was very happy not to be invited by Obama. He said he didn't have enough material, and he's like, when they called me, I said, I was so relieved, and I went back to my drink and my crossword puzzle. I was like, yes, Larry, you're my boy. Anyway, in that respect. And the last one, guys, I'll read this to you. Totalitarian solutions may well survive the fall of totalitarian regimes in the form of strong temptations, which will come up whenever it seems impossible to alleviate political, social, economic misery in a manner worthy of man. So these guys want to get everything back to normal, and they're willing to do whatever it takes, whatever crazy policy it takes to get back, as if what we had, my friends, which is another video, as if what we had before this was any normal, right? As if any of this was normal up until the year 2019. Our lives, our existences, our decadence, our insanity, our whatever, materialism wasn't normal. Our lies, our fake news, whatever. It wasn't normal. So they want to get back to that normal that they thought they had with crazy policies. Lockdowns, mandates, fining people, ostracizing people, coercing people, yelling at people, calling them diseases, turning them into lepers. My friends, so everything I just read to you guys, this is from a book called The Origins of Totalitarianism. Guys, these are things that were done. Everything I just read to you, these are things that were done by Goebbels. Again, you guys can be offended. You can hold, like I said before in a previous video, you can have, I'm offended parties, you could hold up signs, I'm offended. These were things that were done by Joseph Goebbels. They were done from the late 20s, early 30s until the culmination, until 1941. Before you even get to 1941 and Chas v'Shalom, you guys know what I'm talking about. There was an 8, 9, 10-year span of what I just laid out before you guys. These paragraphs. All of these methods. Honestly, I don't know if the governments that are doing all this stuff today have these necessarily intentions. What I can tell you is that they've gone into a state, these supposed leaders and these rulers, or whoever you want to call them, regimes, they've gone into the state of hubris and insanity just because of the nature of this disease, and also their just lust for power, right? They don't have, like, so to speak, a systematic plan, at least let's assume they don't, to, wipe out either a particular group of people or billions of people. They don't. Or maybe like 2 of them do. The rest of them don't. The rest of them are being used as pawns, right? So let's just say that. But still, they're going about it in the same way. And my friends, if they're not careful, it's going to turn from this into what we know was the banality of evil. Again, you can call up restaurants, or I don't know, you can call up certain places in New York today, and you can tell them, and you can ask them, hey, excuse me, do you guys have medical exemptions for people, who are not able to take the thing that you require, for people with medical exemptions? These people on the phone, and this was something that Tim Pool mentioned today, he tried to give people, he tried to give phone calls. These people basically tell you, screw you, and they hang up the phone on you. And then when you call these law firms who fight supposedly for civil liberties and whatever it is, they say, I'm sorry, I can't take this case. I'm not going to take this case. I'm very sorry. This is, above our pay grade. We're not going to take the case. My friends, we're going from Goebbels level stuff to basically the banality of evil, which is basically people just saying to other people, I'm so sorry, I'm just following the orders that were sent down to me from this, in Russian we call balbes, dumbass, pardon my French, in City Hall, or in, I don't know, the governor's mansion, or in Washington. I'm just following what they told me. I'm sorry, I'm just an employee of the state. My friends, this is it. This is it. You can get offended, you can say I'm wrong, you can say I'm blowing it out of proportion, you can say this and you can say that. My friends, again, this is not crazy tzvi. This is Hannah Arendt. Like, you want to complain to somebody, complain to, Hannah Arendt. She's no longer alive, I'm sorry. Complain to her. I'm just, don't shoot the messenger here. Don't shoot the messenger. I'm sorry I was astute enough to see from her writings parallels in what's going on today. Sorry not sorry, I guess. With that said, my friends, I just want to end off on this. I don't know if you guys, I don't know where I read this. I did read this somewhere, and then somebody posted a meme relating to it today, and it reminded me of it. Apparently, there was a study conducted. I can't find the link right now. I'll try to find it. It escapes me. That basically they did a survey of people according to education level, and what they found out was the people that are most skeptical of this supposed cure are people who have only a high school diploma, and incidentally enough, people with PhDs, and everybody in between are more. They found that were the compliant ones, the ones that wanted to take the thing. Basically, people with like bachelor's degree and master's degree are the ones that, it's like and it was literally like, you look at the chart, it's like a bell curve. It's literally like a very clean bell curve. So I made the joke so basically, if you assume that, there's like some powers that be that want to just have 2 groups of people left on this planet, it's gonna be the 5G idiocracy, what I call the 5G idiocracy, and PhDs, and you're gonna have plutocracy. You're gonna have PhDs, ruling over these peasant, you know, peasant high schoolers, not high schoolers, but like people with a high school diploma. I just thought that was very funny, my friends. So it's like if you guys see the movie, you have basically you have idiocracy plus PhDs. So at least you have PhDs, so there's hope for us. You know, we can uplift society with our PhD class. You know. Anyway, guys. So again, those of you guys are offended, or your friends are offended watching this, again, if you have any complaints, don't complain to me. Feel free to complain to Hannah Arendt. You can write letters to her publisher. You can write letters to her relatives. I don't know what to tell you guys. I really don't. Anyway, guys, so now that you guys are aware, so now the question is, where do we go from here? I think we'll talk about that next time. All right, guys. Talk to you soon.